Okay, thank you all for coming to the latest session of LocalGov Drupal Week 2024. Thank you so much for joining us. This session, as you can see on the screen, it's called Netcall and LocalGov Drupal Working Together, and it's hosted by me, Will Callaghan. I'm product lead for LocalGov Drupal, and we're joined by an esteemed group of folks. I will not read out everybody's name yet, but in a second, I'll hand over to Mark Gannon, who's head of client solutions at Netcall. Thank you all for coming and showing what we've been up to. Just before we get started, I'd just like to say a few words, a few thanks to the sponsors. So the key sponsor for the week is Agile Collective, who are a worker-owned agency that designs, builds and supports websites for purpose-driven organisations such as councils, which a lot of folks here are. And they've been technical partner for LocalGov Drupal since 2020. So thank you, Agile Collective. They're also they hold the developer contract for the project right now. But also not forgetting all of our council and supplier subscribers who are here on the call. Thank you for coming. And to our supporting partners, of course, one of those is Netcall, and we'll be handing over to you, Mark, in a second, who've contributed so much to the project. So thanks to all of your support, we can do work like this that you're going to see in a second. I think there's some Zoom help, there's some notes here, which I don't really understand. You can decide how to view the meeting. I think top right, you can click view, so you can change the views. If you've got any questions, please put them in the chat, and we'll be looking for that as we go. I think rather than just shout out during each of the sessions, try and keep your questions in the chat, and we'll pick them up at the end of each part of the proceedings. But for now, I'll hand you over to Mark Gannon from Netcall, who will be talking about what we've been doing. Over to you, Mark.
Thanks, Will. Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Mark Gannon. It's really nice to see so many people joining for what I hope is going to be a really interesting show and tell. So I'm Director of Client Solutions at Netcall. And for those who don't know, Netcall provides intelligent automation and customer experience solutions for around 1 in 3 UK councils now. And before Netcall, I worked for a number of local authorities over a period of about 20 years in various IT, digital and transformation roles. Most recently at Sheffield City Council, where one of the last things I did before I left was to move the council website onto LocalGov Drupal. So I've always been a big fan of this initiative in particular, and the kind of collaborative approach of all the councils and the suppliers involved. So in January 2023, Netcall became LocalGov Drupal's first supporting partner, because basically we felt there was quite significant synergies between what we were both doing and trying to achieve in terms of supporting local government to collaborate, share, reuse. And we also supported lots of the same councils, so it seemed like a good idea to work together. And I think it's actually really important for councils to collaborate and reuse, particularly with public sector budgets under such extreme pressure and a lot of the kind of key skills becoming harder and harder to find or more expensive to source. So as part of the partnership, we established a working group for councils who were up for doing some work together. What you're going to see today is some of the outputs of that collaborative working. As Will's already said, the work's been done by colleagues from Cumberland Council, Croydon Council, LocalGov Drupal and Netcall. And it's covered a number of different areas, and each person or each team of people is going to talk through the piece of work that they've been doing. So that includes work around theming and design work, work around form integrations, AI integrations, and call center dashboards for content designers. So each person will do a short show and tell on each of those, and it's, I'm really grateful personally to the councils that have given up quite a lot of their time and inspiration to help drive this work forward. And obviously we want to continue to do more of this as we continue to, build our relationship with LocalGov Drupal. And obviously it goes without saying, if you're a council who wants to get involved in this work as well, then you're very welcome to join the working group. Just get in touch. So as Will says, we've got quite a lot of people presenting on today's session, so I'm not going to spend time introducing them all individually. They can all introduce themselves as they introduce their session. But I'll hand back to the person who needs no introduction, Will, to tell us what happens next.
Thanks, Mark. So just to sort of give you a bit of a flavour of what these this work is before each person sort of presents it in detail. So as Mark said, we're interested in design forms, AI, and sort of call volumes. And there's good reason for each of these. I think the sort of underlying principle is we want to make these solutions work harder. So if you've got both of them, you can plug them in and they should just deliver extra value for you. So in design terms, for example, if you make changes to your LocalGov Drupal, the design of your LocalGov Drupal site, you shouldn't have to go and change Netcall as well. These things should be tied to each other. Changes in one should reflect in another. If you're using Netcall Liberty Create for transactions and you want to use LocalGov Drupal forms as well, which Croydon definitely does, and we think more councils will do. If you collect some data in LocalGov Drupal forms, well, that data should follow through to Netcall and add to cases or create new cases. In AI terms, we're not going to, as LocalGov Drupal, we've not built an AI engine because Netcall's got a great one, but it should be really easy to integrate that and use it to the max. And the AI should take content from your LocalGov Drupal site and use that to answer questions. You shouldn't have to do a lot of extra setup. And then core volume data, it's more of an idea at the moment, which I'll present at the end with Craig. But we're very interested in the data that, is it Converse CX, which is the next Netcall product, is generating around call volumes and how content designers could use that along with other data to make better decisions. So hopefully this is all really interesting. I mean, we happen to be LocalGov Drupal and Netcall, but I think these ideas are universal. There should just really be standard, and hopefully, getting the conversation around this going will mean more of this kind of work is done, across the sector. So hopefully you'll find it useful. We will. Oh, that's later on. Sorry, I will come to that later. For now, I'll stop sharing my screen. I think Craig, it's over to you.
Thank you, Will. I will start my screen share. Bill, that says it's sharing, so I'm going to assume it is. As Will said, one of the neat things around this working group is often one of the councils will be working on something that the rest of us will say that has general appeal. It would be great for us to make that a sort of generic piece that we can all use. And the piece that we're looking at today is a piece of work that was sort of pioneered at Croydon using LocalGov Drupal and Liberty Create at Croydon Council to sort of wrap headers and footers around from LocalGov Drupal around Liberty Create content. And in Cumberland, we're also Liberty Create users, and there's definitely sort of a common benefit to us being able to replicate that. So this is a stage in that sort of working group process where Cumberland have said, right, well, let's see if we can replicate the success of Croydon by implementing it and understanding if it's going to work for everyone and if we need to improve upon that. So what I've got on screen here is Cumberland's LocalGov Drupal website. And there is a module, a LocalGov Drupal module that you can grab. It's called LocalGov Netcall, and you install this on your LocalGov Drupal install. And what you get out of it is a few endpoints. And essentially what these endpoints do is capture sections of the page that we can then sort of export or import into other applications. And I've got a little example, one of these, I think this one, oh, wrong one, this one. So this is the page section which describes the Cumberland header. And you can see there's no styling on this. The styling comes through in another section, but you can understand how the sort of navigation's there. You've got the search box and what have you. So that's the LocalGov Drupal side. It presents our information out to the world such that our Netcall application can then grab that information, structure it in such a way that we can wrap any of our sort of public facing forms in the LocalGov Drupal styling for the headers and footers, and then present that back to our users. So I'm going to show you quickly the sort of process behind that. So on the Netcall side, I'm in Liberty Create here in the sort of build environment. We have a bunch of modules, and this has been created in a module as well. At the minute, it's not in an app share or anything along those lines. We're just sharing it between ourselves while we fully develop it. And I just need to plumb in the endpoints that have been generated by that LocalGov Drupal module. So we've got an endpoint for the footer, an endpoint for the header, and there's a schedule that runs in the background, and it goes to these endpoints and populates these other variables with the code behind those headers and footers. And if I quickly just drop into a theme area, without getting too technical, we've created a sort of testing theme on the Netcall environment where none of this sort of base information needs to change. We've got primary colors as being blue. Essentially, we're just going to overwrite it, and we overwrite it with this theme pack that's part of the Netcall module that we've created for this piece of work. I can show you some code here, but basically, when we come into this module, what we're doing is, if we go to something like the footer, we are grabbing the references. I can't remember whether they're declared now. Main. Yeah, so we've created a variable here which captures that header. Another one captures the footer, and it captures all that code and sticks it into the theme pack. So what does that look like? This page here, I'm going to show 3 different versions of a page. This page here is using a theme pack that was generated totally within Liberty Create. And you can see it's quite close to what we had for cumberland.gov.uk. We don't have the menu, and also we don't have the footer. But it is sort of, it's on brand. And I think I saw Dave Hampton join the call as well. So we brought in Dave Hampton as a sort of, as an interaction designer.
I'm here listening in. Hello, everyone.
Work that went into, awesome. Hi, Dave. There's quite a lot of work into theming this to get it right, and we relied on Dave's expertise to be able to do that. The benefit of this new module is that if there's any changes to our header, footer, or anything else with the theming, we should just be able to inherit that without needing to go and use Dave again to be able to make those changes. It should be a lot cleaner, quicker experience for everyone. So if I just go to the build environment for this actual page, and what I can do is change the theme that we're applying. I'm just going to change it to a default theme. This is a just straight out of the box theme for Liberty Create. And if we hit F5 on this page, we'll see that it's removed all of that Cumberland styling. So as we saw earlier, when I was having a look at the theme pack for the Drupal header and footer, there wasn't any, we didn't describe the style sheets. There's no sort of, where do we go if we go back a few pages? Here, we don't have any early style sheet or late style sheet that's telling us how to format this page. We're totally relying on this theme pack, which is going to bring in that code from LocalGov Drupal. So let's go and apply that on the page now. And just need to change the web page theme to default theme for testing the Drupal module. And we'll publish that. This is a live demo, so this is where things always get scary, but hopefully we'll be okay. And we'll hit F5 now. And lots closer to LocalGov Drupal. You can see we've pulled in search, and this works. So we can search for blue badges. I don't know why we'd go search for blue badges while we're in a page at this point, but that goes and off to search LocalGov Drupal and comes back with our search results. If I just dive back, we've also got links through that work into jobs and news, but there is still areas for improvement. So this services should give us a pop-out menu, and we've not been able to bring that through yet. So we need to understand what else to bake into this module to take it that step further. Likewise with a little pop-up that we've got at the bottom, but everything else is coming through, and it's all as you see on cumberland.gov.uk, because the Netcall side of things has built in this schedule so that we'll grab new content every day, and if there's been any changes, we'll get them as soon as they're made. And I think time is at the essence, so I'll stop talking there and hand back to Will.
Thanks, Craig. I think we've also talked about, as well as header and footer, that Netcall can inherit component design and other things from LocalGov Drupal, which we're still talking about. It's a bit more involved. But
yeah.
If you've done a lot of hard work styling your LocalGov Drupal site to be compliant, say with the GovUK design system, then some of that maybe should carry across as well. So you shouldn't have to do this work over and over. And if you make a change in one place, it should cascade to everything. Thanks, Craig. Don't know if anyone's got any questions. I'll just have a look in the chat. Can't see anything. Let's just to sort of keep things moving. Let's head on. But if you've got any questions about, oh, here we go. So Chris has asked, how long would it take the changes to cascade across?
I can't remember. I think we've got it set to nightly, but within the Netcall platform, we can ask it to go and pull down the latest version as frequently as we like. I suppose there's options there for us to sort of, I don't know, maybe look at webhooks or something in the future where we don't have to call the style sheet if there's a change. We just push it out. But yeah, at the minute it's set to nightly.
Thanks, Craig.
Configure it based on your own demands as well.
Yeah, for sure. Let's move on. Thank you so much for sharing that. So we're going to move on to Kev, who's going to talk about how LocalGov Drupal forms are now working with Liberty Crate. So yeah, go for it, Kev.
Lovely, thanks, Will, and thanks, Craig. Can you see my screen? That's good. All right, so we were looking at a problem whereby we use Citizen Hub, it's Liberty Create CRM, to create loads of cases in various parts of the business, but we don't create all cases in our CRM because a lot of these cases exist in NEC for housing, for example, or they exist in Drupal because they're a Drupal form. And so we never have that 360-degree view of the customer in our CRM. So what we wanted to do was create an app whereby any third-party system could create cases, update cases, and close cases in our CRM. And we've just been working up an accelerator so that anybody can use what we've created. So I'm going to show you first a bit of an example using the new accelerator that should be on the app share very soon. And then I will show you a Drupal integration as well, where we're using a Drupal form to integrate with this app. So here is the accelerator. It's still going through review at Netcall, but just a bit of a kind of early view. What you get is all the instructions for how to install the module, configure it, and you also get a link to the GitHub where you can download the Drupal side of things as well, and a bit of information about how you can configure data retention. And it gives you a test harness, and it also gives you a Postman file so that you can test it from Postman. And that is what I want to show you kind of first up, really. Here's a CH Central instance, and I'm just going to pull into my screen Postman. So I don't know if all of you know, but Postman is just a tool that can be used to send API calls to any system. So what I've got here is 3 API calls, one that can create or update a case, one that can send a note to a case, and one that can close a case. I'm just going to run these all through one by one and show you what happens. This is basically saying that this case is coming from iDocs and there's a case reference and it's a planning inquiry. And it's given us a couple of UPRNs to set up addresses. It's given us a URL to a particular case in the iDoc system, disposal date, and there's a document here as well, because you can throw documents into the system this way. We're sending some details of the customer. We're sending some email addresses and phone numbers to the customer as well. So I'm going to hit this, and all going well. And scary live demos. If I refresh this,
I saw an invalid URL Kev there on the Postman return.
here we go. Well, let's just not do that. This is because I was tweaking it just before I did it. Success. There we go. This is why I bring Bob along to these sessions. So let's try that again. So, here's one that we prepared earlier anyway. So what would happen is that the case would be created in C8 Central, along with a link to the app where it comes in, where we can capture all the data that's come across from the third-party line of business system. So here's one where it says it's a planning inquiry, and it's got all the person's details and the case details, new planning application received. And it's gone and created a person so that we can, so it either matches to an existing person based on the information that's given, or it will create a new person. So the other API calls we have, and I don't know why this isn't quite working because it is saying success, but it's saying failure. It's not liking the URL, is it?
Yeah.
I wonder if it needs HTTPS. I bet it needs that. Let's just try that one last time. Hang on, we might be cooking now. Oh, there we go. So it's worked. And you'll see, first of all, it comes up as anonymous, but that's because we're still doing the auto matching in the background. But let's show you these other two API calls. So given that this is an IDOC system and this is the IDOC reference, we can now send notes to that case. So we can say consultation commenced. So your source system could have many triggers and many notes that it sends into CRM to keep CRM updated with progress. So when we do that, I'm going to go back to this screen. I'm going to have a look at my case. I'm going to have a look at the notes, and I can see in the notes it says consultation has commenced. So that is our third-party system adding notes to our CRM. And the last thing that I can do is when the case is closed, I can say IDOCS ref, send a case closure date to close it in CRM, and also set disposal date as well. Because what you're going to want to do is make sure that your CRM is disposing of cases at the same time as your source system is. So I'm going to trigger that API there. I'm just going to have a look and see what that's done to our case. And I can see that it has indeed closed the case, this moment when that API call came through. And it's also set the disposal date so that the CRM knows when to get rid of all this personal data that has a policy on it as well. So I'm glad we got that working eventually. So that's how this is an example of the accelerator. But actually we didn't build the accelerator first. We built our own version of this first of all. So what I can do is show you that quickly. This is actually our build environment here where we can create cases. And this is our Drupal test site for Croydon, where we can fill out Drupal e-forms. So I'm just going to fill out a really quick form here. I'm going to fill this out in the quickest way possible by clicking no to all of these questions. And what I'm going to do is set this up with some data so I can show you how the matching works. So I'm actually going to copy some data from an existing person that exists in our CRM so that we can see that the matching to the person happens automatically when we receive a case. Get this form finished. Now, the way this works is that Drupal has a cron job that runs every 15 minutes that sends the data from the Drupal server into Liberty Create. But I do have a little link that I can click to trigger that cron job. So I'm going to click that now. Adnan gave me that the other day, and it's really handy. And so all going well, when I refresh this, we'll be able to see an external system has raised a case into CRM. And when we click on that, we can see all the case details raised today at 1:27, which is the current time. And so we can see which system raised it. It was a Drupal form. It's got a reference. It's got all the answers that were filled in on the Drupal form. And if we go to see the person's details in CRM, what we'll be able to see is that it has correctly matched it to an existing person and is showing it in CRM alongside all their other cases. And it's done that using a combination of data. In this instance, probably email, but it can also match on combinations of names and addresses and mobile phone numbers and things like that. So I don't know if anybody's got any questions about any of that.
I think you've just blown them away, Kev, and also being calm under pressure as well when it didn't quite work. So well done to you and to Bob.
Love a live demo.
It's great. Oh, field matching. Is there any?
So what we're doing in Liberty Create is that we're just taking those details and we're just sticking them in a single field at the moment, because we're not going to be using Liberty Create to process these cases. The kind of the use case really is just to surface these cases to CSAs and to our customer service agents when they're talking to people. So we haven't done any kind of mapping of the other data. What does map is things like names and addresses. Like we use that data to do the matching, but the data that comes from the form, we just store it in a single long text file, just to give that visibility, really. CSAs. There's no
I don't know if you're reading the chat, Kev. So all the info is gathered in a single place. That's the point.
That's right. So we could have multiple systems feeding in, all with their own links into CRM, and they could all be posting these cases into CRM. So you could see, no matter what system the case is in, you've got a detail of it against a customer record, and you've got a link to that external system as well, so that you can jump straight into the case using that link.
Sure. I mean, I think the reason why we started this in the first place is almost like to decouple sort of form building from complicated transaction building. So, content designers have to build a lot of forms, or they're increasingly building forms in a lot of councils, including Croydon. But I think up until, I'm paraphrasing for you, Kev, so please do chip in. But until this integration worked, the only real option was build it in Netcall. Whereas actually now you can build it in LocalGov Drupal, and you've still got that view that you really need to fulfill, a customer's needs.
Yeah, and we have a very pragmatic approach to that as well. So there's some stuff that's really complicated and you need to do loads of calculations and you've got really complex back office processes, and that's really what Liberty Create is there for. But sometimes you just want a really simple e-form that you want to be able to spin up really quickly and not build complex processes around. And that's when we use Drupal. So when we get a request from the business for a form, I'll sit down with Angie and we'll say, well, is this a Drupal form or is it a Liberty Create form? And we'll make an assessment and then build it in the right, in the right platform. It doesn't matter.
Brilliant.
Information goes into CRM anyway.
That's brilliant. Thanks, Kev. We're slightly behind time, so I'm going to cut my session down at the end. But thank you, Kev, for showing us that. If you've got any questions about the first two, then please do ask. We're going to hurry along to Mark Conroy and to Lewis, if he's around.
I am.
Yeah, please do go for it.
Okay. Right. Okay. This is a slightly different angle. We're going to be talking about customer engagement here. I guess the background of this was more, can we use any of the AI tools that we've been adding into the customer engagement part of the platform alongside content that's on local Gov Drupal sites? We've spent many years sort of hand cranking FAQs and chatbots and stuff like that. And the idea was, can we take information that's already out there and use that either internally or externally as part of the sort of virtual assistant piece. So I've been looking at some of the Converse side of things. Mark's been helping with the deployment on the Drupal side. So hopefully you can see the screen. We're looking at Converse CX here, which is the sort of latest iteration cloud contact center. Essentially, the bit that we want to focus on here is what we call documents and collections. This is where we've got corpus of knowledge. We can pull information in from different sources. So the one that we've been working on recently is around fostering. The idea is you build your collection up. You can add different data sources in here. So it could be from a PDF, it could be from text. In this instance, it's predominantly URLs from LocalGov Drupal. And the idea behind that is you'll have a Drupal site with some content on there. You want to be able to use that within some of the conversational AI. So taking one or more of the URLs, we can basically, I'll take one out that's already in there at the moment, remove the site. We can take the URL, drop it into the system. And what happens then is Converse CX uses AI to index the site and basically break it down into chunks, which can then be used as other parts of the platform. So we can use preview tools within here. The bit that we're actually interested in today is referencing this collection of data as part of some of the virtual assistant stuff that we've done. So Mark will show you in a second the sort of Drupal side of this, but from a Converse point of view, we've got this very simple chat assistant where we can basically collect some information from a customer, ask them some questions, and then we basically fire the questions into the AI model against the collection that we've just configured. So we can do things like include the conversation history, give it a persona, that type of thing. So this is all sort of typical AI tooling. And then obviously we can loop back around. But the idea behind this is we can then make sure that people are getting a consistent experience. So if they go to the website and there's content there, it's not a separate set of data that people have got to maintain behind the scenes. But Mark's going to go through the sort of work that he's done in terms of the Drupal piece to sort of embed on pages, put some questions in, and then we'll come back and talk about how that's actually used from an agent or a CSA's point of view to make sure that they're getting the same experience from some of the content that you've built up. So Mark, I don't know if you can pick up the share.
Yes, thanks, Lewis. This current share. Now I want to share this screen. I think it is. Okay, I'm guessing we can see two tabs here, one with Liberty Converse and one with LocalGov Drupal, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So what we've done here is we've built a module called LocalGov Netcall AI widget. And the point of that is to allow us to have AI widgets on our website. And we put one AI widget as a global widget, so that goes on all the pages on the website. But then we also want to be able to replace that widget on certain pages with more specific widgets. So what we've got is, if I click on my messaging app here, I've got two AI bots, let's say. So one is Open Digital, which gives us all the information about LocalGov Drupal, basically the content from maybe the LocalGov Drupal main website. And then the other one is called Fostering. And this one here has the information from the fostering pages of the LocalGov Drupal website. And also what you saw Lewis put in there a minute ago, some extra URLs. And we put in some information from GovUK, and then we put in some random text I added. So it's kind of, it shows that you can add any ad hoc text you want. Maybe you've got something that hasn't gone live on your website yet, but you want your AI widget to be able to reference it. I might change this module from GitHub and put it onto Drupal.org because I actually think it's relevant to anyone using Netcall rather than specifically LocalGov Drupal websites. So we might look making it a little bit more generic than it currently is. But to get it to work, so we'll click on Extend. We'll find our AI widget here. So I've got the Netcall AI widget. Install this. We keep doing these things with LocalGov Drupal where we say make the hard things easy. So these kind of tricky things are maybe tricky, but we do them in such a way then that we do it once and all the councils can use it. So we've got our permissions here, and I'm going to say that only editors and LocalGov admin are allowed to say what AI bots are going on what page. So I'll save this permission. Now, if I come here to configuration, web services, I've got a new tab here called Netcall AI widget settings. We got two fields here. One is our workspace ID. So that's our kind of account ID on Netcall. So I have this one saved here. So this is the LocalGov Drupal's demo one, let's say. And the next is the partition ID. So this is the ID of the specific AI widget that we want to place. So this is our general global one that we want to go on every page on the website. So when I click save here, we should get an AI widget down here in the bottom right corner. So you can see it here. And you can put in things like, why is the sky blue? And when you ask that, it will tell you that, sorry, that's not the information that I have. I've only got a subset of information, which would be about LocalGov Drupal or whatever this bot here is trained on. So this widget here is going to show up on every page on the website. So if I come back here to my homepage and refresh it, we'll see it's up here. It's still here. Then if we come to, let's say, a fostering page, where's our fostering here? So we'll see that we've got the same widget down here that we have on every other page. But let's say we wanted to put the fostering widget on the fostering landing page and all the pages that are a sub set of the fostering page. We can come back here to Liberty Create. So I came to my fostering, sorry, I came to my messaging section, come to my fostering app, click on deploy. And then I've got the same workspace ID here as the other one, but we've also got the definition ID. This is what we call the partition ID. So I'll copy that. And in our settings, I'm going to say, I want this partition here to show up on the URL that is fostering. But I also want it to show up on any URL that is inside fostering. So fostering and fostering/about and fostering, whatever else it is. So if I save this here, I'm not sure what's going wrong there. Let's see, did that save? Force team add team argument one must be of type group extension. I have no idea what this is. Let's ignite their cache.
It's the joys of live demos, Mark.
Oh man, need a version or. You know, I tried this 3 times before we came on live to see this working, and everything was perfect.
Just describe what was going to happen.
Yeah, well, what was going to happen was a little bot was going to pop up down here, and I'd click on it, and I could ask questions then, like, you know, is there a difference between fostering and adoption? And that will go get the data that we popped in from, say, GovUK, and tell us that yes, there is fostering is temporary and adoption is more permanent. And then we've got some content that we put in, which was me asking or me mentioning that here in Mark's text, that Mark Conroy has never fostered any kids. He would like to start in 2025. So we could ask a question: has Mark ever fostered any kids? And that's it. I'm not sure what's after going wrong here. It looks like my site has crashed. Yeah. So you can believe it. That's what would have happened.
I've seen it working.
And it all works very well when it should.
I can probably show some of that. I mean, I was going to jump back to
thanks, Mark.
Talk about how this sort of applies from an internal point of view. So like Mark says, we've got content in there. The first piece was more external content. So this is where we can take people through and signpost and capture information from them along the way. The other side of it is from an agent assistant point of view, works in a very similar way from a Netcall perspective. So we've got the canvas, we build the flow, you know, we serve up some questions and answers. Slightly different. I've got a persona in here, say please be brief and give me responses in bullet points. But once the AI assistant's been configured within here, that's where it applies to some of the interactions that you might get. So if I was dealing with an email, for example, in a sort of virtual assistant co-pilot sense, you've got this AI assist tool up here, and it could be about fostering, which were some of the examples that we had earlier on. Essentially what this will do is it'll take the question, it'll pass it into the corpus of data that we've got from the different sites, and it will start to give me back a bulleted list based on information that we've just ingested. So I've literally just put that page on as we were talking earlier on, and it's now starting to collate some of the answers based on what we found. But if it was something different, so it might be like Mark was saying there, has Mark Conroy ever fostered before? It'll start to basically go through some of the collection where we've added sort of ad hoc text. And this is where, from an Netcall point of view, we're sort of looking at that difference between customer-facing data and sort of internal agent assistance, because you might have terms and conditions, policies, more technical terms that you might serve up to your agents, so your CSAs, where it might be some of the sort of lighter touch, high level content that you serve up to customers. But you've got the choice there. It's basically using the same collection of data, but then bringing it back. So that's the type of thing that I guess you'd probably be seeing from Mark's point of view, more just deployed on the site. Any questions?
Thank you both. I think because we're at time now, I think this is supposed to finish at 1:45 and there's one more thing to show. Let's just move straight on. If you've got any questions, please put them in the chat. Thanks to both of you. So the last part is me. So this is very short. I was just going to show you a sort of couple of screenshots of things that we're going to start thinking about next. So it's about call volume data. Had we had longer, Craig was going to sort of take you through some of the call center stuff that they've got in Cumberland, but we're going to skip that today for speed. This picture shows the kind of data that's collected. So you'll see there's call volumes across the top, and then there are sort of wrap codes or sort of categories that the calls are assigned to. So this is like a pretty standard stuff for a call center. So you might just be able to see sort of blue badge, carer survey, general inquiries, those sorts of things. Now, our hunch is that this data is really useful for content designers. It's just they have to work really hard to get it in a lot of councils. So I've worked in a couple of councils where, lots of granular data is being collected by call center agents, but you have to go ask them for it. They don't necessarily have it to hand. They might send you a PDF or a spreadsheet. The data isn't to hand. And I think our kind of hunch for this is that we can pull some of this information into LocalGov Drupal and make it more useful. So we're envisaging a sort of some way of connecting and understanding the data that Netcall can feed us. So this is not tested yet, it's just a picture. But we think, as you connect the two systems together, Netcall will feed you a load of wrap codes or other sorts of codes categories. And you say, okay, well, what does this relate to on my site? So this will be a one-time job when you connect something new. So garden waste is these URLs, blue badge is these URLs, car recycling points are these URLs. So you'd set all of that up. And as a content designer, as you're navigating the site, you could click this new tab, might be called Insight. And when you're within a page, and it would give you up-to-date live data, call center data, or emails, or web chat, or whatever else Netcall can feed you, and tell you at a glance how that's doing. We're also thinking about how could it relate to the changes a content designer makes to a page. So content designers are making new versions of pages all the time, and we know what those dates are. So on a graph like this, we could actually say this version went live on this date, and did the metrics improve or didn't they? Did we make a difference? And I think this sort of thing could be really powerful. As I say, it's pretty pictures right now. We understand the data that we can get, and I think, Mark, you're going to be starting on this shortly, aren't you, to start pulling some data in, and then we'll start to understand what could be served. Did you have anything extra to say about that?
I don't, except no, it looks really interesting. Yeah, hopefully get started in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. There's another event within LocalGov Drupal that you can go to. It's tomorrow. It's with another of our supporting partners called GovMetric. So they handle a lot of this kind of data, like analytics and user feedback and those sorts of things. And what they're proposing is almost like a data standard for this. So it'd be much easier to pass information from one system to another, and it'd be much easier for councils to count information and make sure that they've got everything they need, because it can be hit and miss in some places. So if you're interested in any of this, please come along tomorrow. We'll keep going with our prototype, and we'll show you next time, hopefully it working. And if you're a content designer or any digital team on this call and you want to get involved with that work or any of the work that we've shown today, then please do drop me a line, or anyone on the team a line. We also we have a Slack channel, group/Netcall, group-Netcall, so please come and say hello if any of this is of interest to you.